Hi guys! Today I wanted my vlog to be about my piercings. I know that there's like a lot of videos and stuff like that on YouTube about people's piercings and stuff. I love my piercings and I love talking about them and sharing my experience. First, I got my ears pierced. And this is like the #1 most common piercing ever, so I'm not going to spend 2 minutes on it telling you about how painless it was. I consider this one 1 and 2 because they're 2 different piercings. My third piercing was my cartilage. That is this one, right there, the top one. I got that one pierced, I think I was in 8th grade. It was pretty painless. I got it done in the pagoda in the mall. She just marked it and pierced it with a gun. It stung a little bit and my ear was hot for like a couple minutes and then it was fine. The only problem that I've had with my cartilage is I do have a keloid on the back of it. And if you don't know what a keloid is, it's pretty much just scarring. It's harmless, it's just sometimes it could be painful, like if I sleep on it or anything like that and apply a lot of pressure to it. It's not really a big deal. If you just take care of it and clean it like you shouldn't have any problems. But I was lazy, so that's why that happened. My fourth piercing was my lip. Even though it's really hard to see, it's right there. It's like a pinkish red color. I usually have a blue one in because I wear a lot of blue. I used to work at a nursing home. I couldn't wear my lip ring. At first, like, I was able to hide it, and it was so tiny that people didn't even really notice it, but my boss came up to me and was like, I keep getting yelled at because of your piercings and stuff, so you either have to cover it up with something or completely take it out. So that night I didn't have anything to cover it with, and I didn't have my retainer, so I had to take it out, and I dropped the stud down the drain. If you do your research on lip rings, it has a flat back on it. So you put it in, you know, this way. And push it in, and on the front of it, it's kind of like a nail, like it's got like the spirals on it. It's threaded, and so your labret, like the actual stud part, is hollow, and so it screws on to that with the threads. And it's really, really tiny, so it's super, super hard to hold with your fingers. Down the drain it went. So this is actually the last one that I own. Excuse me, sorry. Ever since I got out of the habit of taking it out and changing it, I just leave this one in all the time, and so as long as I tighten it every once in a while, like after I eat or something, it usually stays in. And when I play with it, I usually twist it this way anyway, so which is the way it tightens, so I don't even loosen it. I'm actually just tightening it while I'm playing with it. But this one was really painless too. I was expecting it to be awful. Like, I was freaking out when I got it done. But it really wasn't a big deal. The only thing that really was a big deal was probably the clamp. Just because, I mean, you've got a clamp and a huge needle like this long sticking out of your face. It's kind of freaky, but I mean, pain-wise, it wasn't painful at all. I remember sitting there and being like, are you gonna pierce me, or are we just gonna sit here all day? So I went to just mark my lip. He thought that it would be best for my teeth, so it's not constantly rubbing up against my teeth. And he'll ask you, like, oh, does that look okay? He'll give you a mirror and you can check. And I wasn't going to argue with his placement. He knows better than I do of where to place my lip piercing. So I told him that it was fine. He used a clamp. He just told me to take a deep breath and push the needle through and put the jewelry in. It wasn't a big deal at all. So, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, my lip piercing was probably like a 3. Then after that, I got my tragus pierced, which is this right here. And it's kind of hard to see it because my webcam sucks. It's a ring, 16 gauge, along with my lip. My lip was pierced with a 12 gauge, and I had a 14 gauge labret in it. Now they have really cute studs for 14 gauge labrets, but they didn't when I first got it pierced. And I didn't like the plain silver balls. Like on my eyebrow, I have just plain silver balls, and I like that. Like, I think that's cute, and I probably won't change that. But for my lip, I wanted like a cute stud. So in order to get the one that I had now, I had to downsize. So my tragus, anyway, is also pretty painless too. I mean, honestly, that's the one that I don't really remember too well. I mean, the experience went fine. It was pretty much the same principle as my lip, only without the Listerine. And it wasn't bad at all. The only bad experience that I had with my tragus was, I specifically remember 3 days after I got it pierced, it got so infected. Like, I don't know what happened to it, but it was awful. Like, my entire jaw hurt, my face hurt, smiling hurt. It was so tight and tense. I had had a keloid on my tragus for probably like a year, and that one was actually pretty painful. It already had a hard time healing, and then me sleeping on it and playing with it and poking at the keloid all the time, it just made it 10 times worse. The cycle pretty much was I'd clean it, the keloid would go away, and then it would come back, and then I'd clean it, and then the keloid would go away and come back. That cycle lasted for quite a while. Now, the keloid is completely gone. I haven't really had much of a problem with it for like 2 months probably. Do have a little bit of scar tissue there. It's painless now. I mean, I can move it up and down. I could push the ring in and out, and it doesn't hurt. Before, I wasn't able to do that. My next piercing after I got my tragus done, I got my conch and my second cartilage done. This is my conch, and it's a barbell, and I don't know if I'll be able to show you the back of it. Yeah, it's just a barbell, and this is it in the back. My conch is a 14 gauge. That one hurt. I am not even going to lie to you, that one hurt like a bitch. My initial plan was to get my industrial done, but the absolute #1 thing that I love about the piercing place that I go to is an RN that works there. She knows what she's doing, so when she told me that there wasn't enough skin there to pierce it, I was like, fine, we're not doing it then. I don't want to have any issues with my piercing. So she gave me a list of the ones that, you know, I would be a good candidate for. It was either my snug or my conch, and I was like, I think I want my conch done, so that's the one that I went with. I just remember her telling me, take a bunch of deep breaths and just try to relax. She punched it through, and seriously, I went off like a loose cannon. Like, I was swearing at her. She was like, alright, the worst part is over, now I'm just gonna put the jewelry through. So she's putting the jewelry through, and I'm like, bullshit, like, that fucking hurts. Like, what are you talking about, the worst part is over? I don't think so. It was worth it, because I love it. That one also got infected. Again, I just wasn't cleaning it very good. Now it's totally fine. Out of 10, I would definitely say that that was like an 8. And then I also got, the same day, I got my lower cartilage piercing done. Again, it wasn't a big deal. The next thing I got pierced was my eyebrow. I had a really bad experience with getting my eyebrow pierced. Not to say that it will happen to you, it just didn't go the way I thought it would. My eyebrow piercing isn't at the end of my eyebrow where people usually get it pierced. Usually people get it pierced like back here, but I just don't like the way that looks. I mean, I wanted to have eyebrow like at the end of it. I didn't want it to be all the way out here. So I like the placement of where mine is. I feel like it looks good there. Some people can wear it and it looks cute, and others just look kind of grungy. Not to be boastful or anything, but I think it looks cute on me. I think it really fits my personality. First of all, since I have fair skin and it's such a delicate place to pierce, it bled a lot. Then the needle goes through the underside of your eyebrow, and the needle goes upward because they're not going to pierce down and like poke your eye out or anything. And then the jewelry goes in after that. Well, the jewelry wouldn't go through. So I remember looking up to my friends and being like, oh, does it look really good? Like, is it all done and everything? And my friends were like, oh, yeah, it looks really good. And I'm like, that doesn't sound good. And the piercer's like, oh, well, that's because you don't have jewelry in it right now. It's still the needle. And I'm like, what? I didn't really feel it. Like, I mean, it hurt, but I couldn't tell what he was doing. But my friends told me that what happened was the jewelry wouldn't go through. He pulled the jewelry out, and he wasn't holding onto the needle, so the needle came out with it. So he had to pierce it again and put new jewelry through. I haven't had any problems with it, really. I mean, it is a little tender, and it's weird to touch because you can feel the barbell like right underneath your skin, and it's just really weird. This one, it's hard to rate on the pain scale because I had a really weird experience with it. But considering my situation, I mean, it didn't fall too short from my conch. I mean, it was probably around like a 7.5. So it was definitely one of the more painful piercings. And last but not least, I have my belly button pierced. This one, is the only one that is really, really badly infected. Again, just me not taking care of it, so I mean, there's no one that I can blame but myself. And my experience with getting my belly button pierced wasn't anything awful. I mean, it probably falls in between getting my tragus and my conch pierced. It really wasn't too bad, but I mean, it did make me jump a little. I guess some people say that, oh, it didn't hurt at all, you know, and then there's other people who are like, yeah, it hurt really bad. I think I'm just one of the people who were like, yeah, I mean, it's not like I couldn't feel it, but it wasn't, you know, like I'm giving birth or anything. It's pretty simple, just a mark on the belly button and pierces it right through. It's kind of just like your lip piercing. I mean, you can't really decide where you want it. The piercer kind of determines that to fit the anatomy of your body so that it doesn't rip out or push itself out or reject it. In some cases it does anyway, and I was afraid that that's what mine was doing. Because when I first got it pierced, I couldn't see any of the barbell. Now I can see, like, from my fingernail to my, going the wrong way, like from my thumbnail to my pointer fingernail is about how much of the barbell that I can see. I've got this red circle around it, and again, like I said, I'm really prone to keloids, so I have kind of like this really, really small keloid on it. I'm not surprised that it hasn't gotten any better, because I honestly haven't been doing much to take care of it. I guess maybe it's like that because it's one of those piercings that people don't really see that often. It's for me. It's not for anybody else to see or anything like that. I mean, yeah, it's just in your belly button. It's not have my freaking crotch pierced or anything like that. It's not like I'm gonna be walking around an amusement park, you know, in just a bikini top and showing off my belly button piercing. So I guess maybe that's the reason why I don't really care too much about it. I don't know, my outlook on it doesn't really help though, because I'm just like, whatever. I'm the only one who's gonna see it. That on the pain scale, I think it was probably around the same as my eyebrow, probably like a 7 for me. And like I said, some people say it's painless, and other people say like, oh yeah, that really fucking hurt. I fall in the 10% of people who literally and physically cannot get their tongue pierced. So I am just like shit out of luck with getting my tongue pierced. So my eyebrow was kind of like a replacement piercing, and it doesn't really fulfill my want to have my tongue pierced. So I was going to give it a second try, but I just thought about it and I'm like, it's really not worth it, you know. She's an RN, like she knows what she's talking about, and I don't want to like bleed to death or anything over just a tongue piercing. I'm definitely bummed out that I can't get it done. Alright, so anyway, I am done running my mouth because I'm actually getting a sore throat from talking so much. This concludes my piercing video. If you have any questions, I know I didn't really go into specifics because it would just take forever to explain every little detail about my piercing. But if you want to know something specific about one of my piercings, then I can make a response video to it. Bye!